sweet treat tutorial. Hope everyone is having a great Thursday. The weather here today in Oregon has not been too bad. And I am Teresa Harper, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I am located in Oregon in the United States. Thank you so much for joining me. I have a couple of housekeeping items, but let's go ahead and see who's on and give everybody a minute to find us. And then we'll see what we've got here. Okay, let's go here. Let's see if I can get the live chat up. Not that way, I'm not going to. Okay. There we go. Let's get that, and hopefully we'll have that together then. Hello, Laura. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you. I did manage today, after the kiddo left, to get a project ready. It's been a busy week with the kids home from school. Of course, that's going to be the way it is. The summer's coming soon, but these 2 days were not planned. The kids go back to school tomorrow, though, so that will be good. All right. Hello, Cynthia. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you. All right. So let's go over our housekeeping. Stampin' Up! Is having a buy one, get one 50% off all sweets and the sweet products. And that's going to start on June 3rd and go through the 30th. That will start at 12:01 a.m. Mountain Time on June 3rd. And of course, it will close at 11:59 p.m. Mountain Time on June 30th. So here in the Pacific Northwest, we start an hour earlier and we end an hour earlier. So keep that in mind. All sweets and sweet products are available while supplies last. You do not have to buy a sweet. You can buy individual items in that suite, and you do not have to purchase all of your buy one, get one half off in the same suite. You can mix and match from all the suites. Okay, so again, that's going to start June 3rd. I believe that's next Tuesday. And then as of today, the virtual album retreat event that Stampin' Up! Is putting on, the month by month album retreat kit, gives you access to a 3-day virtual album retreat, and that went live today for purchase. So the actual scrapbooking event will be July 16th through the 18th. However, the kit is now available while supplies last. Okay, so you'll want to check that out on my online store. Okay, and then this is just a picture of the kit contents, and hopefully you can see that. It's just a representation. You'll get actually 4 exclusive stamp sets. One of those is an alphabet set, which is upper and lowercase. And then all of your kit pieces will be pre-cut for you, so you won't have to cut those. Okay, tonight we're going to be using the Turtley Awesome bundle. It is a 16-piece photopolymer stamp set, and there is a coordinating 19-piece Turtley Awesome die set. All of the dies are not in here. We're going to be using some of those. And we're also going to be using the coordinating Turtley Cute Designer Series paper from that suite. So we're going to be using this pattern tonight. And you get 6 double-sided designs, and you get 2 of each of those. And for the A side of the designs, it's all turtles in various activities. And then you get some basic prints for the back, okay, which you can use with just about anything. So it's a pretty good pack of paper. But again, those will be included in that Sweet and Sweet product sale beginning June 3rd. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We are making a 3D item tonight. And at the last minute, as I was designing, I was looking for something for my little turtle and realized and remembered that the Darling Dinos stamp set was designed by the same designer that did Turtley Awesome. So some of these items here are scaled to fit the turtles as well, so you can mix and match, which is totally cool. So we're going to be mixing and matching today with the Darling Dinos. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. We're also going to be using framed scenes dies. This does have a coordinating stamp set that you can purchase in a bundle and save 10%. And this is the stamp set, framed scenes. But these dies can also stand alone because they don't actually cut out any of the images from the stamp set. But we're going to be using this oval die right here. These nest. And then this piece just gives texture, and this one makes a lovely frame. So we're going to be using those tonight. And we're also using the Regal's collection of the Stampin' Right markers. And specifically, we're using crushed curry. We're also going to be using the Neutrals Stampin' Right markers. And we're going to be using crumb cake for that. Okay. Let's go ahead and do our stamping. I've done most of, there isn't much stamping actually, and I've done the die cutting for most everything. So let's see if I can get everything I need out of this little piece of basic white. This is a piece of soft sea foam. Let's turn that over. I see a mark on it that I don't want. So we're going to take some Memento Tuxedo Black. I'm going to take this particular turtle from the set, and we're going to stamp that in Tuxedo Memento Black. You could use whatever. We're not actually coloring, so it doesn't really matter. And then we're going to take the top hat from Darling Dinos and the bow tie from Darling Dinos, and we're going to stamp those up. Okay, and then the last thing we need to do to stamp is our sentiment. So let's bring in our sentiment. I am actually making my own sentiment out of 2 sentiments from the Turtley Awesome stamp set. So we're going to take the Hope Your Birthday is Turtley Awesome and the Sweet Friend sentiment, and we're going to make our own. So let's take some tape here. Just got some mint tape, and I'm going to mask off Hope Your Birthday is. Okay, so we're going to just put some tape down here. And then I'm going to put a little bit of tape here because I don't want is, I just want the sentiment Turtley Awesome. So I'm going to take some tape there, and then I'm going to put a little bit here just to cover up the bottom of that Y that I don't want. And then let's see, yep, this should work, I think. Then we're going to I'm going to turn this upside down. And I've just got the word Turtly Awesome. And I'm going to put this on the edge of my ink pad here. Okay. And, oh, here's the important part. Remove the tape before you stamp. Otherwise, you have a mess. Okay, I've got a little bit of ink here. I'm going to wipe that off. Not that it's really going to matter that far over. And then I'm going to stamp here, Turtly Awesome. Whoop. Oh, I got a little bit of that black over there. Well, let's see if we can make this work. And then we're going to take Sweet Friend, and we're going to center that up under Turtly Awesome. Okay, I think I can manage with that because we're going to fussy cut that out. So let's take our pencil and we're going to draw around this like so. I'm going to come in there and cut like that. Okay, let's take our scissors and then we'll just go inside our pencil line. And I don't like to leave extra paper to give me problems, so I like to cut that off as I go. Okay, and then we'll just round that. I've got just that little tiny bit there of that black that I don't want. And now I've cut off where I had a little bit of that excess ink. And then we'll go back with our eraser and erase any pencil lines that we did not cut off. And I do not like how sharp that corner is there, so I'll go back, round that a bit more on the D, and there is our sentiment. Okay, so Turtly Awesome Sweet Friend from Hope Your Birthday is Turtly Awesome and the Sweet Friend. So don't be afraid to mix and match your sentiments like that. We're going to color our images here, and I'm going to take the crushed curry Stampin' Up marker, and I'm just going to color this in. We do not have a Stampin' Blend in this color, and then I'm going to go in, I'm going to color the brim of the top hat here. Okay. Go back and add a little bit darker right there like that. And then to finish that top hat off, we're going to take basic black, the light basic black Stampin' Blend, and the dark smoky slate. And let's see if I can get this to come off. Or, yes, I did. Okay, great. So we're going to take the light basic black and I'm going to color in the edge of this hat here. And then just a little bit here. And then we'll finish that off with the dark smoky slate. and blend those together. And by using the dark with the light basic black with the dark smoky slate, I do not lose all of my lines from my stamping. So there are those. And then we need a scrap of pecan pie, a scrap of early espresso, a scrap of granny apple green, a scrap of garden green, and then, so with our garden green, we will take I've already cut this, but with the garden green, we're going to cut this piece of the turtle shell out of the garden green. Okay, and when we do that, we get this. And we're going to take this piece, which is also the turtle's shell, and we're going to cut that in garden green. So let's grab our pieces here. So we've got garden green, or granny apple green, and then early espresso for the balloon outline, which becomes a banjo. So we've got our balloon. Pecan pie will cut the neck of the banjo, and that actually cuts two pieces when it cuts. So we've got that. And then basic beige. Here's this piece of basic beige, and I cut this piece. All of these dies here are from the Turtley Awesome. And then we need to cut our hat with the Darling Dinos and our bow tie with the Darling Dinos. And when we do that, we get these pieces right here. And finally, we take this turtle here and the turtle die, and we cut that out, and we get this. And I want you to notice that that die also cuts his arm so that he can hold items. Okay, so let's go ahead and put those back so they don't get lost. And let's start assembling our turtle and our banjo. So let's grab our silicone mat. We're going to take our turtle and we're going to put our bow tie on. And I'm going to take just a drop of liquid Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue. I'm going to add that bow tie right here, like so. I'm going to take his top hat, and for his top hat, I'm going to take a mini glue dot, and I'm going to roll that up with the tip of my Take Your Pick tool into a little ball, and I'm going to set that right in the middle of his hat here at the bottom. And then I'll take this hat and tip it just a bit on his head. Just a bit. Actually, before I do that, hang on. This is one of the things that when I'm die cutting and I'm adding die cuts, especially on something like this, I like to take and trim the excess from the bottom of the die cut because I want it to look like one cohesive unit. So I'm just going to cut that so that it doesn't really have that white border so much. And now we've got that. So let's take the turtle back. This is a way that you can do the turtles without actually coloring them. So we're going to take the back of our turtle here, and we're going to add this, which I should have added before I added the bow tie. But it's okay because the bow tie is not, I just put the glue in the center. So I'm going to slide that under that bow tie, like so. Line that up like that. Okay, and then we'll take this piece in the garden green. This gives us a little bit of added depth without going through the coloring process. So if you were going to make a bunch of these little treat boxes, you could save yourself a bunch of coloring. And again, I needed to move that bow tie. I'm just going to pull that off for a second until I get my turtle pieces all set here where I want them and how I want them lined up. Okay, so we've got that. Now let's go ahead. Let's add another little dot of glue there in the center and re-secure that. Okay. And take and give that a press. Okay, and now this turtle is ready to go. Okay, so let's set him aside for a moment. And let's get our banjo. So we've got this piece in early espresso. Then we have this piece in basic beige. And we're going to just put this down here like so. And then I'm going to take this little teeny tiny pecan pie piece. And actually, let me wait on that because I want to know where to put it. Based on, okay, just go like that then. Based on where I put the neck of my banjo here. So I'm just going to put some glue right on the string there, or on the, yeah, on the balloon string. And then I'm going to put a little bit right here at the end so that that will stick. I don't want glue down here because I'm not going to go that far. And I'm just going to put this here like so. Just cover up that balloon handle. Okay, and then I can pick up this little piece right here and it goes back here, but I wanted it to line up with the neck there. So I'm going to stick this back here like so. Okay, now, whoops, that looks great. But I wanted a little bit of added dimension to this. So I'm going to attempt, hopefully I don't mess this up. I'm going to put some strings on my banjo because you can't play the banjo without some strings. So I'm going to take my crumb cake Stampin' Right marker and I'm going to take the bullet tip end and I'm just going to very gently draw in some lines, okay? And then I'm going to go up the neck and put in some strings and attach them to these little things here. Okay. So I just freehanded that. It's not perfect by any means, and it's going to dry really lightly, but it will give just enough dimension to make it look a little bit more realistic. Okay, then our banjo, we're going to take and stick that in the arm of our turtle here. So it looks like he's playing the banjo there. And then we're going to take some Stampin' Dimensionals. We're going to attach that with a Stampin' Dimensional. And I'm going to take a Stampin' Dimensional and I'm going to cut this in half. And I'm going to put one on each leg. And then I'm going to take a couple of mini dimensionals. And I'm going to put one in the middle of his hat there. And one in the head right here. And then we're going to set, oh, wait a minute. We're not going to set this aside yet. We need to put a little bit. I'm going to take the edge of my dimensional here. I'm going to put some on the banjo head there. And I need a little piece right here on the arm. That looks like it's already cut. Okay. So now we can set that aside. We're not ready for that yet. And then we're going to take our sentiment while we're putting on dimensionals. And again, I'm going to use the sides here. And along the very bottom of my sentiment, I'm going to add my dimensionals, and we'll set that aside as well. Okay, let's go ahead and make our box. Okay, so we'll set those things aside. Now we have a piece of Granny Apple Green two-tone cardstock. Stampin' Up! Just released two-tone cardstock. So this is the dark side, and this is the light side. Okay. So I took a piece from this is a great way to try these out, from the Turtley Sweet two-tone cardstock pack. So I've cut that down to 5 inches by 10 inches. We're going to use the dark side for the box, for the outer part of the box. So let's go ahead. I have a sneeze stuck in my nose here, you guys. Give me just 1 second. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And then I'm going to take my scoring tool from my Take Your Pick tool. Hang on, there's another sneeze coming. So sorry. Excuse me. And you can score this on the 5-inch side at either 1 inch from each end or 4 inch from each end. I'm going to do the 4 inch. I'm going to keep this tightly up in the corner. And I'm going to score at 4 inches and rotate 180 degrees and score at 4 inches. Now that's the same as doing 1 inch and rotating and doing 1 inch. So you choose which way is easiest for you. Then I'm going to rotate this, and on the 10-inch side, I'm going to score out 1 inch, 2 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, and 9 inch. So again, that's 1 inch, 2 inch, 5 inch, 6 inch, and 9 inch. Okay, and that is all of our scoring. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and fold and burnish on all of our score lines. And this two-tone cardstock is a little bit, it's close to the weight of the designer series paper, maybe a tiny bit heavier. It feels sturdy enough to me to make a box as long as I'm not putting something super heavy in it. And if you need a bigger piece, it works great. With the 12 by 12, I can get two of these boxes from one sheet. If I were using the 8.5 by 11 Granny Apple Green, I could only get one. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some trimming. Now this end that has the two 1-inch panels, this is going to be the front of our box. And this 3 by 3 square here is the bottom. This is going to be the box top. So let's start here. This is going to be a reinforced front. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take just a little bit of an angle cut on that large rectangle. And then I'm going to remove that corner section. And I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So I'm going to take a little bit of an angle cut on the large rectangle. And then I'm going to remove that square. Okay. And that's just going to allow that to fold into the box a little bit easier. Now these squares, all of these squares are going to become glue tabs. So we're going to cut all of them up on the large triangle. Then I'm going to remove the score line and I'm going to angle cut on the outside edge here. Okay. So cut on the large rectangle, remove the score line, cut on the large rectangle here and angle cut. And then here we're going to cut on the large rectangle, remove the score line, and angle cut the outside edge. Okay, now I'm going to turn that over and I'm going to repeat that process on all of those. So I'm going to cut straight up, remove the score line, and then angle cut the outside edge because these tabs are going to glue in. So I'm going to cut straight up here, remove the score line here, cut straight up on the rectangle, and angle cut this edge because this tab is going to glue this direction. All right. So cut up straight on the rectangle, remove the score line with a little cut, and angle cut the outside edge because this is going to glue this direction. Okay. So that is all of our cutting and scoring, excuse me. Now, let's go ahead and put our tear and tape on. I like to use tear and tape on boxes. So we're going to take our tear and tape. This is the reinforced front. So I'm going to put this tape on the inside edge here so that that edge will seal into the box. And then I'm going to flip this over to the outside of the box. And all of my tabs here, my glue tabs, those squares, I'm going to double tape. At the score line and the outside edge on all of these tabs on the outside. Okay, and we'll repeat that on the opposite side. You could use liquid glue if you wanted to wait to have the glue take a hold. For video purposes, it's faster to do this than sit and hold the glue and wait for it to dry and set up. Okay, so the key to any of these is that you need to burnish your glue when you're done so that everything adheres nicely. Okay, so we're going to start here with this tab. We're going to remove the wax paper backing here, and we're just going to fold this in and give it a press. Okay, now again, this is the bottom of our box, so we're going to fold these tabs in and these middle tabs in to form the sides of our box. Okay, but before I forget and we get too far, because I tend to forget, I need to put a finger tab here because this is going to close around. Okay, and then we need to have a finger tab so everybody knows to pull that up. So this is a 3-inch square box. So I'm going to make a mark at 1.5. Because that just helps me. Then I'm going to take a 3/4 inch circle punch. You can use whatever you have on hand. And I'm going to take just a small half circle, third of a circle out of there to put that tab in. Okay. Now let's go ahead and, now we know for sure this is the top of our box. So let's put our designer series paper down. And I've taken a piece of the Turtley Cute. This is the music note pattern, and it is 2 7/8 by 2 7/8 inch square. I'm just going to add that to our box. Now, this is not a directional pattern, but if you had a directional pattern, you want to make sure that you have your pattern going up and down this way. Okay, because otherwise it would look funny on your box. So top and bottom of a directional pattern. All right, so let's go ahead now. We're going to remove these 4 tabs of the backing from our tear and tape. We're going to remove them all at once. That's the way I prefer to do it. You could do it 2 and 2, but I find that more difficult for myself. So I like to just do them, all 4 of these, all at the same time. Okay. Okay, now this is the back of our box. So we're going to fold this toward the bottom of the box away from the designer series paper. And we're going to line the cut edge up with the score line and secure, and the cut edge with the score line and secure. And then we're going to move to this end, and we're going to repeat that, the cut edge to the score line to form the bottom of our box. You want to make sure you line those up just right, otherwise your box will be cattywampus. And then I'm going to take my bone folder and give those a good burnish so that that adhesive gets a chance to set up. Okay, now I've got this left, and I can lay this flat with that, like so, and that's what, and then I'm going to take these pieces off. And then we'll finish this box. Okay, now you could have cut these off and tucked these three sides in, but we're not doing that. I wanted it to look like a traditional pizza box, fold over. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these flaps and we're going to secure them to this. But to ensure that it fits properly, we're going to actually close our box, fold the front down, fold the side tab in, and then we'll line up our box. And what that does is make sure that our box top will fit over the box bottom, because this is symmetrical pattern. And if you don't do that, you could end up with your box top not fitting over. Okay, so now we know it fits because we built it around the edge. And again, I'm going to take my bone folder and give those joints a good burnish. Okay, now we're ready to add our treats here. So I picked these up at Costco the other day when my husband and I were shopping. They're Utah truffles, and these are dark chocolate truffle with sea salt. You get them in a bag that looks like this, 16-ounce bag, and they come individually wrapped, which is always a plus for treat box making. So I designed this box to fit two perfectly. So now we'll just put that top down over our bottom like so. And now we're ready to decorate. Okay, so out of that 2-inch scrap that we cut off the bottom of our 12-inch piece, I cut one of the ovals from the framed scenes. Okay, so I cut this. And then what I did was I cut it on the lighter side of the paper. This is the darker side that we made the box out of, and this is the lighter side. So when this is still in the die, like so, I flip this over on my silicone mat, like this, and then I took my stylus tool and I ran it around the rim of that die, the inside rim, okay? And that gives me just a little decorative edge when I do that, okay? So we're going to add this to our project. And I'm going to do that with some Stampin' Seal. My original one I popped up, but it's easier, I think, if you don't. So I'm not going to on this one. I'm just going to leave this one down here. I'm not centering it. Just going to leave a little narrow border over here and a little narrow border down here and more room up top. Okay, and then we're going to take our turtle that we pre-prepared, and we're going to remove all of our adhesive covers. And then we're going to place our little turtle right here. And you need to make sure that the hat doesn't stick too much past that bend on the back so that you can still open it and not get the hat. Okay? All right, so we've got that. Then we're going to take our sentiment. And actually, I could put, because I'm not popping this up, I'm going to put a little mini dimensional right here in the center just to make sure that that sits evenly. And then we're going to put our sentiment right here for our turtly awesome sweet friend. And then the last thing that we're going to do for this, we're going to take some neutral matte dots. These are an online exclusive. These are also part of a suite. These are part of the textured note suite. I'm not sure what that's called exactly, but this is part of a suite. And I'm going to take, we don't have a crushed curry Stampin' Blend. So I'm going to take and I'm going to make my own. Okay. So I'm going to take the Dark Daffodil Delight and the Dark Darling Duckling. I'm going to start with the Dark Darling Duckling. And I'm going to take and I'm going to take the basic beige dots here, and I'm going to color with Darling Duckling. Oops. Okay, I'm going to press that back on my sheet here so it doesn't move too much. And then I'm going to go back with my Dark Daffodil Delight. Now that my Darling Duckling has dried. I'm going to go over the top of that with the Dark Daffodil Delight. Okay, I'm going to give that just a second to dry. It's alcohol, so it dries pretty quickly. And then we're going to take your pick tool and take my small one here, put one here, put one of my larger ones up here, and I forgot to take the backing off of my, oh no I didn't, I just didn't press it down. Okay, off my banjo there. And then we're going to put a third one right there. And that, my friends, is our turtly sweet treat. Hope you like that. This is what it looks like when you double pop it up, but then you have to double stack some dimensionals, and that just becomes a pain if you're trying to make a whole bunch of them. So I just did them flat, this flat, so I didn't have to double stack. And there you have it. Now this one I did in the light with the darker on the inside. And then today we did the darker on the outside with the lighter on the inside. All right, that's what I have for you today. I hope you love that. And I hope you try this box soon. All right, everybody, thanks so much for joining me this week on the Turtly Awesome stuff. I've tried to show you how to use it for coloring, how you can do it with non-coloring, and then how to use the Designer Series paper. So thanks so much for joining me. I appreciate you. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That really helps my channel. And if you haven't already subscribed, please do so and hit that notification bell so that you'll know every time I upload a video or go live. Thanks so much. Good night.